everybody. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm Lady Nyca, and with something we haven't done in a while, the world outside your window. Now, let me just explain a little bit about what happens in the world outside your window. I know sometimes we can get so caught up with, you know, social media and the hoopla that happens right here on YouTube that sometimes we don't take time out of our schedules to actually find out what's happening in the world outside your window. And I like to come in from time to time to, although I enjoy the fool la la, I enjoy social media for what it gives as far as a release. I sometimes want to remind you guys that there are real things that are happening in the world outside your window. And so I come in and I do these topics. None of the topics I'm going to discuss today will have anything to do with celebrities. This is all going to be regular smuggler everyday folks who have who have lost their way, if you will. Some have found their way, but either way it goes, it's real people, real situations being brought to you by a real person. So with that being said, let's get into our first topic today. On the screen right here is one Miss Lizette Herrera. She's a 26-year-old Texas woman charged with murder due to self-induced abortion. The woman who was thrown in jail on murder charges in Texas for allegedly having caused the death of an individual through abortion has been released after the local district attorney dropped the case. Lizette Herrera was reported to be back with her family on Sunday after the district attorney in Rio Grande City on the U.S.-Mexico border put out a statement saying that he was immediately dismissing the case against Herrera. Herrera had been arrested last Thursday and placed in Starr County Jail on the back of a grand jury indictment. The issues surrounding this matter are clearly contentious, says the DA. However, based on Texas law and the fact presented, it was not a criminal matter. Now, I want to share with you the news story that accompanies this. Give me just 1 minute to cue that up for you so that we can get a little bit more into it. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. Girl, I'm not hearing nothing. Hold on. Let's see. View it in the StreamYard tab. Hmm. Let's take it back and see what we're going to get this time.
To dismiss the case as soon as tomorrow. Lizelle Herrera was arrested Thursday in Rio Grande City. That's a community of about 14,000 people near the Mexico border. A grand jury indicted her on March 30th for allegedly causing the death of an individual by self-induced abortion. It's unclear if Herrera gave herself an abortion or assisted in someone else's procedure. Herrera was released from jail after posting a $500,000 bond. The DA's office released a statement in part saying, in reviewing this case, it is clear that Ms. Herrera cannot and should not be prosecuted for the allegation against her. Planned Parenthood, in a tweet, called the decision, quote, such needed news.
Alrighty. Let me go back here. So, what I basically have to say about something like that is if they don't have all the facts that they need to have in order to bring charges against this woman, then I don't feel that they should have. Period. I know that there are a lot of pro-lifers out there. I myself am a pro-choice. I'm glad that if they could not prove the case, they allowed her to go home to her family. Now, in our next case, we will be discussing little Isabella, known as Izzy Texture, died by suicide in November after being bullied for being black and autistic. Despite her mother's requesting an assessment several times, Izzy autism diagnosis was not confirmed before her death. Now, an independent investigation into bullying accusations found evidence of bullying, but that was not explicitly race related or tied to her disability. The 16-page report found that Foxborough Elementary School educators did not demonstrate actual knowledge of the district's definition of bullying and failed to document reports of bullying properly. Mhm. Izzy's mother, Brittany Texture Cox, reported her daughter's bullying to the school, but nothing was done. Izzy's suicide came just weeks after a report by the U.S. Department of Justice said that there was serious, widespread racial harassment in the Davis School District, which is where Foxborough Elementary sits. The DOJ found that Black and Asian American students had faced harassment for years, and school officials had largely ignored the harassment for years. The report recommends that the school district train its staff to correctly identify and address bullying, provide diversity and equity sessions, and trauma informed poverty training. It said that the school should also establish clearly and defined protocols for record keeping and reporting bullying. Mhm. That's kind of sad. I sure hope that her mother is following suit the way she needs to, because kids today ain't like kids of yesterday. Children today are a lot more harsher, and they have more tools at their discretion to be able to do things against one another. Social media being one of them. She was such a beautiful young baby. I hate that she felt like there was nothing to live for. I really do. That really touches my spirit. But it's also a failure on the school district and the school's part to correctly uh, do something about it. They did not act in the way that they should have acted to possibly stop this child from feeling like she had no reason to live. It's a sad case, but many children are being bullied out here in these school systems. Hopefully, by through Lizzie's death, others won't have to suffer as much, because it definitely shined a spotlight, if not on bullying as a whole in the school, but definitely in the Davis School District. Y'all dropped the ball. That woman she had been reporting. This child's mother reported several times about what was going on with her child, and nothing was done. What a sad situation. And again, I hope the mother is handling the business that needs to be handled appropriately. Now, in the next story, because this is a total minor situation, I'm not showing any pictures. I showed her because it was a picture of a deceased and it's on the internet. However, these kids involved in this situation, I could not find any pictures or names because they don't put that kind of stuff out on us. And this just happened last week. A 15-year-old suspect was taken into custody on Friday in connection to the fatal stabbing of a 16-year-old Westchester County girl during a parade celebrating the state's championship um, at a local high school. The teen was charged with manslaughter and attempted assault. The suspect was also accused of stabbing a 15-year-old. The 15-year-old was slashed and received non life threatening injuries, but the 16-year-old was seriously injured and in the melee of what was happening and died en route to a local hospital. According to the press release posted by uh, the city crisis and grief counselors have been and will continue to be available for anyone impacted by the tragedy. The suspect appeared in court on Saturday and was ordered to remain in custody. Now, think about this story, y'all. 15 and 16-year-olds. 16-year-old dies. Two 15-year-old lives forever changed. Are we paying attention to our children? Are we instilling in them the morals and values that our mothers and fathers should have, if not didn't, instill in us? How does something that's supposed to be such a fun event turn into a tragedy and lives forever changed? One life ended. These kids don't even have, they have not even tasted what all life has to offer. Yet their lives are forever changed and one ended. At what point and what steps, what do we need to do as a community to do better? That's a serious question. If you have any suggestions, please drop it down in the panic section of this video. I would definitely like to hear what you guys have to say. That touched me in my spirit. They were supposed to have a good day, celebrating, having a good time, co-mingling with their friends. And somewhere along the way, something happened that forever changed these young people's lives. And it even ended one. How sad. Okay, let's move on to my next story. This is a shame and a scandal. I'm so confused about this one. Okay, guys, I'm gonna read to you what happened, and then I think I have a news clip to accompany it. So let me do the news clip, and then I'm going to share with you what the news has to say about this. On the screen, there is one Mr. Michael Lelko of Lyons, Illinois. He has been arrested on felony charges. See, Mr. Lelko is accused of concealing the deaths of both his mother and his sister after authorities found their bodies buried in the backyard of their home. He has two felony charges of concealment of death, and there is an ongoing federal investigation that could lead to federal charges for his alleged cashing of his mother's $1,000 Social Security check for not just a month or two, for years following her death. So far, he hasn't been charged in the death of his mother, Jean Lelko, age 79, or his sister Jennifer Lelko, age 44. You see, the medical examiners can't identify exactly how these individuals died. Michael Lelko has a 41-year-old brother named John who is also being investigated, but as of Thursday of last week has not been charged. According to the police reports, John Lelko may face obstruction charges because he told police his mother and sister were living elsewhere when he knew both were dead. The charges mark the latest revelation that all started with a check on the home after determining there was no running water at the location. Mhm. Ooh, child, that's a lot. The house had no operable toilets, and several bags of urine and feces were found inside the residence. There were Star Wars toys stacked to the ceiling when the bodies were found, and the residence was so cluttered that the men exited and entered by climbing through a window. The doors were barricaded with debris, and through the windows you could see fleas, bugs, and piles from floor to the ceilings of just debris. And you could smell urine and feces. Officers attempted to enter the residence through the entryways, but were almost completely blocked with boxes. The officers' only way of entry was through a window. Police discovered the bodies about 8 months ago during a well-being check. Both bodies were buried in plastic tubs and sealed with duct tape. Michael Alelko told police his mother passed in 2015 after his sister pushed her down the stairs. He admitted to also burying his sister in 2019 after she became ill and died. He claims that his sister had C19. However, the first C19 case in Illinois was not confirmed until February of 2020. John Lelko did not give any statements pertaining to whether he participated in any of that. Charges have not been filed for several months because the bodies were not identified. Both brothers were taken into custody when the bodies were discovered, but were released without being charged. Girl. Now, let me see if I can find this news story so that you guys can get an even deeper understanding of what we're dealing with right here.
Two brothers taken into custody after the bodies of their mother and their sister are found buried in the backyard. Now, Lyons police say almost a year later their investigation is wrapping up, and the first of what could be many charges have been filed.
The big issue is when the medical examiner comes back with they're unable to determine the cause of death.
Michael Lalco is now being charged with 2 felony counts of concealing a death. No charges have been filed so far against his brother, but authorities say more are expected. And the brothers could still face federal charges. They're being interviewed today by investigators from the Social Security Administration.
They were continually cashing checks from the mother's Social Security account.
The brothers lived together in this house on the 3900 block of Center Avenue. The building had no running water and little electricity. Michael Elko told police his mother died in 2015, the sister in 2019. Both have been buried in Tupperware-style containers often used for Christmas decorations.
They were placed inside, bent over, folded in half, placed inside, and then buried in the yard.
Chief Thomas Harrion says the investigation is continuing. The brothers are now in custody, but one may have to be released if no charges are filed against him. The home, which was filled with debris, waste, and boxes of unopened toys, will be claimed by the city. The city is still trying to understand what happened here.
Extremely odd. You don't really have this. I know Cook County's had them periodically in the past, but it definitely gets a lot of media attention.
In Lyons, Charlie Wojciechowski, NBC5.
Thanks to Charlie.
That is some ridiculous shit. That is some creepy stuff. It is just absolutely alarming to know people lived around these people all this time. And no one had a clue. You may have thought something was weird was going on there, but who knew? See, this is what's happening in the world outside your window. So although we come to social media for a little break sometime and a couple of key keys, never forget that there's real world things happening. And all of it is not, all of it don't make sense. That is senseless to me. And if he was cashing them checks, you can believe the federal government got something for him. That brings us to the conclusion of another installment of The World Outside Your Window. I hope by these stories that it's something jarred inside of you, that life is way more bigger than this social media platform. And just be careful out here because you never know. I have never heard anything like that in my entire life. When I came across that story, I was appalled. Hmm, what a world we live in. But this is what's happening outside in the world outside your window. It's not always glitz and glamorous either. I want to thank you all so much for watching today. In closing, as always, remember you do not have to be great to get started, but you must get started in order to be great. And it's the depth of your struggle that will determine the ultimate height of your success. Have a wonderful remainder to your day. I plan on doing the same, and until next time, peace.